Adrian Cole was a man whose name alone made business empires tremble, a billionaire who had built his fortune from nothing but sheer will, unforgiving determination, and a heart that had grown cold along the journey. For decades he conquered markets, crushed competition, and climbed until there was no mountain left to climb, only the heavy silence of a penthouse too large for one man. At 53, Adrian had everything except the one thing he secretly longed for, a child to carry his legacy, to inherit the empire he spent his life bleeding for. But fate is a wicked negotiator, and just when a man believes he has cheated it, fate deals the cruelest card. Adrian was diagnosed with a rare terminal illness, one with no cure, no hope, no extension of life, only months to settle his affairs before the shadows closed in. The doctors told him gently. He accepted it coldly. But inside, he felt something he had never felt before, fear. A fear not of dying, but of dying alone, forgotten, erased like he had never existed. He needed an heir. A child. But he had no wife, no partner, no time. So he did the only thing men like him knew how to do, he offered money. Millions. Enough to change someone's life forever. And that is where the story of Adrian intersected with the life of Elena Rivers, a 22-year-old girl who came from the part of the city where dreams didn't survive unless you protected them with teeth and claws. Elena worked 2 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and still couldn't keep up with her mother's medical bills or the rent that kept rising like a mocking reminder of how cruel the world could be. She had learned young that fairy tales were for people born with silver spoons, not for girls like her who ate ramen for dinner and counted coins on the kitchen table. So when a black car stopped in front of her small apartment and a suited man handed her a letter with a golden crest, she thought it was a mistake. But it wasn't. Adrian Cole wanted to meet her. He had chosen her, out of thousands, to bear his child. His lawyers explained everything, the procedure, the contract, the amount of money she would receive, an amount so large it made her dizzy. Elena sat across from Adrian in his marble office, trembling as he spoke with that deep, powerful voice. "I don't need a wife," he said. "I don't want a companion. I only need the child. You will be paid more than enough to rebuild your life. You will want for nothing." Elena swallowed hard, thinking of her mother lying in a hospital bed, thinking of eviction notices, thinking of her dreams buried under years of hardship. Anyone else might have said no. But poverty has a way of shaping decisions. And Adrian's cold logic seemed like the only door left open. So she agreed. Not for herself, but for survival. For her mom. For a future she never thought she could buy. The months that followed were transactional, disconnected, and emotionally hollow. Adrian was distant, always behind a wall of professionalism. Elena lived in his mansion, surrounded by staff, pampered like a queen, but felt more like a prisoner in a golden cage. She carried the child, but not the warmth that usually came with motherhood. She would often place her hand on her belly and whisper, "You're the only good coming out of all this." She wanted to love the baby, but fear told her not to. After all, the contract said clearly, once the child was born, Adrian would raise it. She would walk away. Paid. Forgotten. But life has a habit of twisting paths, and everything began to change the night Adrian collapsed in the dining hall. Elena saw him fall, saw the fear in his eyes, the same fear she felt every time she thought about losing her mother. Instinct took over. She rushed to him, held his head, called for help, and for the first time, Adrian looked vulnerable. Not like a billionaire. Not like a powerhouse. But like a man terrified of dying alone. After that night, something shifted between them. Adrian began asking about her day. Listening. Observing. He noticed how she hummed to the baby. How she placed a hand on her belly when she laughed. How her presence seemed to bring a peace to the house that had never existed before. Elena, too, saw a side of Adrian the world didn't know, a man who stood silently at the nursery door, trying to imagine a future he might not live to see. He would rest his trembling hand on the crib railing and whisper, "I'm running out of time." Those words broke her. One evening, during a quiet dinner, Adrian finally said, "I thought I only wanted the child. I was wrong." Elena froze, unsure what that meant. But he continued, voice cracking for the first time, I didn't realize how lonely I was until you came here. You brought life into this house long before you brought life into your womb." She lowered her gaze, heart pounding. She had never seen him like this. His illness was worsening, yet his eyes were soft, almost pleading. Their interactions grew warmer, gentler, filled with stolen glances and fragile conversations. Elena found herself staying up late, sitting beside him in the garden, listening to stories of his childhood, his dreams, his regrets. The baby kicked, and Adrian placed his hand on her belly, hesitant at first, then overcome with emotion. "My child," he whispered in awe. "Our child," Elena corrected softly, surprising even herself. Adrian looked at her like a man seeing light after years of darkness. And slowly, the cold contract between them dissolved, replaced by something real, something dangerous, hope. But time was cruel. Adrian's condition worsened. He grew weaker. Doctors said he wouldn't make it to the baby's birth. Elena wept in silence every night, wishing she had met him sooner, wishing she could save him. One night, while she sat beside his bed, he said, "If I don't survive, promise me you'll raise the child with love." Her voice broke. "You're going to be here. You have to." He touched her hand weakly. "Elena, I didn't hire you to carry a baby. Life brought you to me to fill a void I never knew existed." Tears spilled down her face. She held his hand to her heart. "I'm not leaving," she whispered. "Not now. Not after everything." And just when the world seemed ready to take Adrian away, fate shifted again. The baby came early, too early. Elena was rushed to the hospital while Adrian fought through the pain, insisting on being wheeled to the delivery room. He made it just in time to hear the first cry. A healthy baby boy. Adrian held him with shaking hands, eyes wet with gratitude. "My son," he whispered. "My miracle." Moments later, he looked at Elena. "And you saved me long before this moment." Something miraculous happened that night. Adrian's vitals stabilized. His condition didn't worsen, it improved. Slowly. Unexpectedly. The doctors were stunned. It wasn't a cure, but it was hope. Adrian lived to raise his son. Lived to love Elena. Lived to rebuild everything he thought he'd lost. And Elena, once a girl suffocated by poverty, became the woman who restored a dying man's will to live. Their story spread like wildfire, millions watched, millions cried, millions believed in second chances again. And if you're watching this right now, remember, life can change in a moment, hearts can heal with love, and miracles happen when two broken souls find each other at the exact right time. If this emotional story touched your heart, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because more life-changing stories are coming your way, and you don't want to miss a single one.